Hey guys!
It's me, Mr. Lawler, your English teacher. Happy Thursday. Well, as it turns out, the thumb drive that this trench-coated man gave me contained yet another episode of Captain Pearson's Great Adventures. And thus, for this class, you get to follow him even further on his perilous and wild journey. But before, let's quickly recap the main points of yesterday's video.
So in this iceberg metaphor that we had, we remember that in a story, the theme accounts for the 90% below the surface. And the physical components, the setting, the characters, plot, account for 10% above. The physical components at their best lead toward knowledge of the themes.
10% above
So another way
the
of phrasing is that there's a distinction between the physical and the abstract qualities of a story. The physical guide toward the abstract.
Now let's take 1 second, or maybe a few seconds actually, and look over the golden rules of theme once again, because these will undoubtedly appear on the test that awaits you next week.
The 7 golden rules of theme. Number 1. Theme is the general idea or insight that the story is about. Number 2. Theme goes deeper than a summary of the physical, a la iceberg man. Number 3. Great stories have several themes. Number 4. The theme includes the life lesson and/or moral. And if you are not writing these down, you should write these down right now. Number 5. The theme must be formulated as a full sentence. Otherwise, it is simply a main idea or topic. Number 6. The complete sentence must regard the truth revealed. Number 7. Theme is not absolute. Several perspectives can exist on it, and many can be correct at once. So, those readers of the future Captain Pearson text, it might be wise to watch this section again to make sure that you fully understand these 7 golden rules of theme.
Good. There we have it. Now remember all of this stuff, as it will take you and I very far. So now, buckle up, sit back, and get ready for the next adventure of our hero, Captain Pearson.
Previously on The Adventures of Captain Pearson. Captain Pearson found himself transported to Theme Island, where he met the likes of Gary Busey, who showed him the iceberg that sank the Titanic, and that the 90% below the water holds the power. Captain Pearson then met Kurt Vonnegut, science fiction writer, and yet when Gary rejoined them, an island savage appeared and murdered Gary. Ah! Captain Pearson awoke in a dungeon, chained to a wall, where he did the only thing he could do, read the mysterious document that Vonnegut had given to him, and hope that he would survive. Now, join us for The Adventures of Captain Pearson, Episode 2, What the Heck Was Harrison Bergeron About? Boy, oh boy, that was one weird story, I said. I wonder why he had me read it. That stupid Kurt Vonnegut. Now I'm still stuck to this stupid wall where they're gonna kill me and eat me for dinner. Hey, it's you, Captain Kirk to the rescue, like in Star Trek, haha. That's Captain Kirk, he said. And yes, I could sense you were in trouble, Captain Pearson. Why is your voice different, I said. Because before I sounded too much like Gary Busey. Ah, I see. So I came to visit. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, so I got a chance to read that document you gave me. And? Weird as hell, bro. Why the heck do you make me read that? He sighed. So that we can have this conversation and connect it to what's going on. Okay, well, it was pretty straightforward, right? Hello. You tell me. Why don't we start with that 10% of the iceberg above the water like we talked about? So, what happened? Well, people created this big ship that they said was unsinkable, and then a poor dude fell in love with the rich girl and... No, not Titanic, you fool! Ow, hey, as he headbutted me again. But you just talked about icebergs. Iceberg theory, don't you remember? God damn it! Kids these days and their attention spans, the iceberg metaphor that Gary Busey taught you. There's the physical side of the story, the setting, characters, and plot, and there's the abstract side, which is the 90% below the water. So, let us start with the physical and offer up a summary. This is an important term, by the way. In fact, if anyone was listening to this, I'd tell them to write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. A summary recounts the 10% above the water, the physical side of the story. A summary recounts the 10% above the water, the physical side of the story. Yes. So, Captain Pearson, now summarize what happened in the story. Yes. Well, there was this old couple, the Bergerons, and they were watching TV and stuff, you know? Oh, cool. Yeah, just like that. And the husband has this thing in his ear that makes noises every 20 seconds or so, because he's smart, and the noises make him dumber. He has to wear it because of some government guy or something. Yes, the United States Handicapper General, Diana Moon Glampers. Yeah, you read it too. All right, cool. He moaned. Continue. Okay, well, it's a future world in terms of setting, like 2081, right? 2081. And this couple's son, Harrison, got taken away last April by that government guy, so they're pretty bummed. Yes. So they're watching a show about ballerinas for some reason. Whoa, cool. And watching these women dance. Yeah. And the ones who are better, they have to wear stuff that weighs them down. And the pretty ones, they have to wear masks. And then suddenly the ballerina show is interrupted by this newscast. And a ballerina tells the audience that Harrison Bergeron, the old couple's son, escaped from jail. And that he's like a beast, basically. Like super strong and super smart. You know, like me. Right, he said. So Harrison busts in and takes control. And he's taken off his handicaps, and he yells at the audience to resist the government and the handicapping. And then that Diana lady barges in. And she shoots him. She shoots him and the ballerina. And it ends back with the old couple, and they pretty much don't even realize what happened.
Ha ha ha!
Good, my boy. Good. You're smarter than you let on. Wait, where am I? I just blacked out. Who are you again? I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that, he said. Okay, so we've covered the 10% above the water, the plot, the characters, and the setting. Splendid! Now, the challenging part of our analysis begins. Now, we must dive below the surface again. Come with me. If you can't tell, dude, I'm kind of attached to a wall here. Sure, you are shackled, just as Harrison was, just as we all are in many ways. But his fighting spirit showed that he could not be kept down. He refused to accept the shackles that the future world put on him. Yeah, and then he got owned by a shotgun. Yes, well, but he was like, setting an example and stuff. An example of how to get owned by a shotgun? Okay, shut up. Oh, sorry. Now, stay very still and close your eyes. He then started chanting some weird hymns or something, and suddenly I realized that my shackles were loosening. I kept my eyes closed tight, and next thing I knew, I had that feeling I had before, where I was flying through the cosmos, like...
Soaring so high above the world, never thought I could be so free. I'm one with the birds, and magic is all I see.
Oh, look up there!
And then I heard him say, "Open your eyes." And we fell into the ocean. Help, help, I can't swim, I'm gonna drown, help! Actually, you can swim. Oh, yeah. And you have scuba helmet on. Right. So, here we are, beneath the water. There's the bottom 90% of the iceberg. That's what we must now discuss if we are to understand the whole. So, you discuss the physical components, the characters, the Bergerons, Diana Clampers, and all that, the plot, and the setting. Now, what do these aspects of the story suggest? Nothing, I said. They are literally all that there is to the story. Wrong. Darn. Think about it for a moment, he said. What might be a theme of my story? I thought very, very hard, and then I said, well, it's a world where there's equality, right? But it's like a weird kind of equality. Like, not the kind we talk about, where everyone gets to sit wherever on the bus and stuff, It's more like they're trying to make everything equal, even the things that you can't control, like good looks and intelligence and stuff. So maybe the theme would be like, equality. Ah, but recall, you must formulate theme as a full sentence. I'm not sure, I said. Because, see, I read this website a lot, and on the theme section, there's always just like a phrase, like loss of innocence or something. See, it's this website called SparkNotes. SparkNotes must die! Ah! A big explosion occurred, and then he headbutted me 3 times. Like this. And I was like, ow, hey, stop. Okay, full sentences, jeez. Equality is a mere topic, he said, or element, or main idea of the theme. The theme must encompass the topic and elements and motifs and phrase them into a sentence. Motifs? Yes, is this a new term for you? Yeah, it is, actually. Very well, he said. Well, you can understand a motif as a recurring element in the story. But unlike what you mentioned before, equality, the motif is physical. So in this story, Harrison Bergeron, a primary motif, as pointed out by your pal SparkNotes, is noise. We hear so much noise. George is hearing an ever-increasing intensity of sounds, from a buzzer to a car crash to a gunfire in his ear. But by the end, he doesn't even know what's happening. So the repetition of noise and the paralyzing effects it has on him is a motif. Okay, I see.
Let's go ahead and jot that one down.
A motif, unlike a theme, is a recurring element that has a physical manifestation. For example, noise in Harrison Bergeron. Be sure you're writing this down. A motif, unlike a theme, is a recurring element that has a physical manifestation. For example, noise in Harrison Bergeron. But we're getting sidetracked. Let's stay on theme. Now, state for me a theme of my story. Okay, fine. Well, then how about too much focus on equality will lead to a bad system? Okay, good. We're getting there. Because I know if I was living in that world, they'd have to put a lot of bags of lead on me since I'm really strong, you know? And they'd have to put that bleeping thing in my ear like every second since I'm so smart. And of course, I'd have to wear a mask since I'm so good looking. Right. Anyways. Okay, so you pointed out that the notion of equality is a bit too vague, and the story shows a society in which this term is bastardized. Now, can you think of another theme? Jeez, man, what do you want from me? This is hard. I'm challenging you, Padawan. Can you think of another theme? Because only then can we resurface again. I thought really hard once again. Something to do with the parents? Good. Like in the way that they watch too much TV? Okay. Like, TV is awesome because then they didn't have to think about their child's death? No, damn it! It's not awesome! See, the TV distracted them from it! But Gary said the theme isn't absolute, that there's many perspectives on it. Well, that may be, but that doesn't mean there can't be wrong perspectives. Distracting yourself from pain is not a positive thing. It's disturbing. See, it's clear already that people often use television to forget about what they are really thinking about. They turn on a show, and they don't have to think about the person they love who doesn't love them, or the big assignment coming up, or the fight they just had with their friend. And now, with computers, and tablets, and iPhones, and smartwatches, and all that stuff, it's becoming easier and easier to distract ourselves from pain and reality. The Bergerons were so distracted that they did not even realize their son had been murdered on live TV. Ah! Man, I can tell you feel really strongly about this, I said. Yes, sorry, I got a bit carried away. But I don't know, man. Sometimes distractions can be a good thing. I know when my harvest is waning and my apple trees aren't bearing fruit and I'm left to dig up the grains of the previous year and survive like a chipmunk in a ravished wood. I often play 30 hours of COD just to forget that I'm literally starving. COD! And does it help? Well, yeah, for those 30 hours. And after? Well, usually after, I realize I still don't have any food, so I play for 30 more hours. Yes, he said. This explains a lot. There was silence for a moment, until he said, "Please stop picking your nose." Oh, sorry. So now, let's simply recognize that characters, plot, and setting guide toward knowledge of these themes that we've discussed. We've entertained a few possibilities here. One theme might be, equality can be a dangerous concept. Equality can be a dangerous concept. Another could be, distractions from pain eliminate fundamental elements of our experience as humans. Distractions from pain eliminate fundamental elements of our experience as humans. We could say so many more about this story. What you must accept is that no statement of a theme is unarguably right. For a story is a broad expanse, reflecting in many directions at once, and many readers will view it in different ways.
Wait a minute, bub. If it reflects all these ways, why the heck do we talk about it? It seems like a waste of time, if no one's gonna agree on it.
Well, it's like possibilities, right? Like quantum mechanics.
Who? I said.
I think we ought to take a little trip. Follow me.
COD! And look where we ended up. Hey, I said, I've been here before. I love this place. Yeah, soaring so high. Man, what a song. Let's focus. Sorry.
So, here's a little bit on quantum mechanics, the current landscape of modern physics. Think about it. We have infinite numbers of particles that comprise our world as we know it, and they are always in motion, even in things that seem still, like your brain.
Huh?
Because these things are made up of atoms, which are made up of subatomic particles, like electrons. And yet, even our best scientists can't predict the ways that the motion will go. They can only measure in probability. This leads to an infinite, endless number of possibilities, of possible worlds, possible universes. Please stop picking your nose. Oh, sorry. It's called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Heisenberg? Yeah, all right. I love Breaking Bad. Tuco, man, am I right? What a bad guy. Those cartels?
Whoa, man. Okay, shut up. Just shut up. Before his name got taken for that silly show, Werner Heisenberg was simply a great German physicist who did much research in quantum mechanics. Goodbye. And he came up with the uncertainty principle. We cannot predict the motion of the universe. We couldn't see where the particles were in space. See, this guy explains it a lot better.
The essence of the Bohr-Heisenberg picture was that the electron was a particle. However, there was a certain amount of uncertainty with regards to where the particle was. Now, one day, Heisenberg was so paralyzed, worrying about all these problems, that he took a walk in the park. Outside his institute, there's a famous park, and late at night, he walked through the park wondering, how can it be? How can it be that you don't quite know where the electron is? And then, in a flash, he understood. Because to understand where an electron is, you have to look at it. To look at it, you have to shine a light on it. But when you shine a light on it, that disturbs where the electron is. So the very fact of observing an object changes its location. Therefore, he realized that uncertainty is an essential part of his picture.
I really don't see what that had to do with anything. And I really couldn't understand what he was saying.
Well, let's think about it. This picture of the universe is kind of like discussing a story. Just like particles appear in unpredictable places, so unpredictable ideas arise as we discuss stories and their themes, when we shine the light of our minds upon them. If we truly discuss theme with a large group, we can watch as the story opens up before our eyes. We may not be able to trace its essence or predict the directions it will lead, but through our discussions of the possibilities, we realize that the possibilities of the world open themselves before our eyes. And so, discussing stories can be understood as moving deeper into the universe. It's truly magical.
Yeah, sounds pretty stupid to me.
Well, that's your opinion, and quite honestly, I don't hold it in very high regard.
Yeah? Well, you're stupid! Stupid! Ha! Got you!
If we were in 2881, I do believe that you would have no extra baggage. You would literally be the standard for stupidity.
Yeah, well, too bad we're not. Boom!
Okay, well, I believe it's time to return to shore. Come with me.
We soared through the cosmos,
Soaring so high
and
above
landed back
the
on the
world.
island shore.
Never thought.
It is here that I leave you, he said. I hope you have learned something in this process. I fear that you have not. But no, the pangs of ignorance will only lead you back to that wall, to that cage that held you, if you...
Suddenly the savage returned. Oh no! Only now he was followed by a whole tribe. Before Kurt could disappear, they threw a grenade. And Kurt exploded on the spot. They surrounded me. Please, not again. I mean no harm. I'm just trying to learn about theme. Once again, they tackled me, and soon enough, I was unconscious again. I awoke in the same cell. Oh, God damn it! Only this time I didn't have Kurt's story to keep me company. I stayed on that wall for hours, days, maybe even weeks. I could think of nothing but how I wished that they would just kill me so I could just end it all. I was so bored. I didn't even have COD. COD! Then, one cold night, while I shivered against the wall, a figure appeared. A figure I'd never seen before. A beautiful old woman. Hey, who are you? Am I hallucinating? Well, maybe, she said in this low and distant voice, or maybe not. But either way, it seems I am here. Well, I guess that's true. Who are you? My name is Alice. Oh, cool, like in that story with the rabbit? Ha ha, the Mad Hatter. I love Johnny Depp. No, I am Alice Munro. I am a Canadian author. Oh, well, that's a little less cool, but alright. Why are you here? She sighed a long, deep sigh and said, I come here to get more into the mind of women in today's world, to glimpse into all the ways that they are encaged. So are you like a feminist or something? Of course. And so are you, I'd imagine. Yet still, I am saddened that many do not recognize the importance of listening to female voices in the male-dominated sphere of writing. I'd imagine most of the stories you've included in your text have been written by men? Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, you are not alone. As it turns out, women are much more apt to read stories written by men than men are stories written by women. There seems a certain aversion in men to understand the feminine side of experience. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always wanted to wear makeup and stuff, but I was always afraid of what my friends would say. So that's why I still have this war paint on my face. It just makes me feel so good. Indeed. Well, you are a brave boy, she said, and I hope you become even braver. For men can benefit so much by listening to the female voice. Even young adolescents in the midst... especially young adolescents in the midst of a raging world of hormones. See, women seek partners who understand them, who will listen to them, who will hear their words and come to their feelings. Oh, wait, what was that last part? Sorry, I zoned out. She sighed. I can tell it is very important you read more stories written by female authors. Actually, since you appear to have the emotional maturity of about a 15-year-old... Sorry, excuse me. Of course. Anyways, since you are in such an immature state, I have a story just for you. It's written from the perspective of a woman reminiscing about her life as a 15-year-old working on a farm in Ontario. Ontario? There's no farms in Africa. Ontario is in Canada. And yes, there are farms both there and in Africa. Well, agree to disagree. As I was saying, it looks at the life of a 15-year-old girl living on a farm and trying to learn about herself. I think it will give you important insights into the feminine psyche and the feminine side of experience. And maybe it can even offer the key to get you out of here again. She took out a document and handed it to me. Now, I must go, but do not fear, for I shall return when you complete it. Can't you at least get me out of here? Not just yet. For in here you must remain to learn of the female mind at a deeper level. Oh, man! Goodbye, strange-haired guy. She disappeared. And all alone once again, I set to reading the new text that she gave me, hoping desperately that it would give me the key to finally get out of this terrible place for good.
Will Captain Pearson find a way to escape the prison once again? Who are the mysterious savages who keep locking him up? What does Alice Munro's document contain? Find out on the next episode of The Adventures of Captain Pearson.
Hey guys.
Another wild ride, eh? Kind of a strange one. Maybe not quite as action-packed. I mean, I definitely miss Gary Busey. You probably did too. But hey, lots of information, right? I mean, man, that Captain Pearson, he's a hoot. I mean, how did we get so lucky to have him put our text together? I mean, we're just a bunch of lucky guys. So, real quick, let's go ahead and jot down the themes mentioned in Harrison Bergeron.
Harrison Bergeron themes. 1. Too much emphasis on equality can lead to a bad system. Too much emphasis on equality can lead to a bad system. Be sure you're writing this down. 2. Distractions from pain eliminate fundamental elements of our experience as humans. Distractions from pain eliminate fundamental elements of our experience as humans.
So there's two ideas, right? Those are the two ideas that were mentioned in the episode. But recognize that's simply two ideas in a very complex, very rich story, a story that people are reading just years and years and years after it was written, excuse me. So now what I'd like you to do is, beneath those two that you just wrote down, and if you didn't write them down now. Beneath those two, write down two themes of your own. Think of two different themes of that story, Harrison Bergeron, and write them down. Because when I return, I'm going to go around and look to make sure you did all this writing down, and hey, easy points to start off the semester, right? So make sure that you spend a bit of time now thinking of two more themes. And not to mention, it'll definitely help prepare you for a couple questions on that test awaiting you the upcoming Tuesday. All right, once you finish that, please begin to read How I Met My Husband by Alice Munro, which, as the episode forgot to mention, is the text that Alice Munro gave Captain Pearson in the cell. So read How I Met My Husband by Alice Munro, and be sure to have read it by tomorrow, Friday. And for now, adios.